Orbital railguns blew apart the human colony's orbital defense towers into smoldering fragments of charred steel. Towers of fire engulfed the colony city as tungsten uranium rods rained down from the sky, reducing the human habitats to twisted metal shells. The colony on Kepler 186f died screaming as the Galactic Council eliminated 500,000 humans in a preemptive orbital strike. Supreme Commander Korvac watched the orange explosions blossom across the planet's surface on his viewscreen. His black eyes held no pity. The expanding humans needed to be contained before their rapid technological progress threatened galactic stability. This would put them in their place. In the council chambers, human ambassador Thomas Williams fell to his knees, his face a mask of horror. Tears streaked down his face as he screamed for the council to stop the bombardment. "Have mercy, they're civilians, innocent men, women, and children." But the council just watched impassively. The colonies were destroyed in minutes, all colonists eliminated. William's devastation turned to cold, hard fury. He rose to his feet, eyes blazing with venomous hate. "The sons of Earth will never forget this genocide. We will have our vengeance. This is not over." The council laughed. "You primitive apes are centuries from threatening us." Williams's face darkened further. "We shall see." Earth grieved for its 500,000 dead children. Monuments were built. The Lost Colony Day holiday declared, and a 500-year plan was drafted to infiltrate the council and bring it down from within. One day, the Daxamites would pay. Earth swore it. 500,000 cycles had passed since the Kepler 186f massacre. Humanity had not forgotten. Marcus Williams, descendant of the late Ambassador Thomas Williams, had been working tirelessly for decades to expose the truth about the Galactic Council's heinous crimes. He and his team had infiltrated the Council's bureaucracy, with many humans now occupying key positions within the organization. Williams stood before a massive viewscreen, his face a mask of determination. He took a deep breath and activated the broadcast sequence. His image was transmitted to every corner of the galaxy as he began to speak. "People of the galaxy, I come to you with a truth that has been hidden for far too long. The Galactic Council, the very organization meant to protect and serve us, is guilty of unspeakable atrocities. They are responsible for the massacre of 500,000 innocent humans on the colony of Kepler 186f, 500,000 cycles ago." As he spoke, Williams presented a wealth of evidence, classified documents, audio recordings, and video footage that irrefutably proved the Council's involvement in the attack. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the truth unfolded before their eyes. The Council chambers erupted into chaos as the broadcast ended. Representatives from various species demanded answers, their voices filled with outrage and disbelief. The Council's leadership scrambled to contain the situation, but Williams and his team were always one step ahead, releasing more damning evidence at every turn. In the days that followed, calls for the Council to be disbanded grew louder. Member species threatened to withdraw their support, disgusted by the organization's actions. Supreme Commander Korvac, once a symbol of the Council's power, resigned in disgrace, unable to face the consequences of his past decisions. As the Council's influence crumbled, humanity prepared for the final phase of their plan. In hidden research facilities across Earth, scientists and engineers had been reverse engineering and improving upon the advanced technology of the Council races. The result was a formidable fleet of ships and cutting-edge weaponry that far surpassed anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Terran Expeditionary Armada, TEA, launched from Sol, its sleek ships cutting through the void of space with purpose. Their destination, the Daxamite homeworld, where they would finally exact justice for the victims of Kepler 186f. The galaxy watched in awe as the human fleet moved forward, a testament to the resilience and determination of a species that had been wronged so long ago. Admiral Isaac Novak stood on the bridge of the TEA flagship, his weathered face set in a resolute expression. He watched the viewscreen as the Daxamite homeworld grew larger, its cities glittering like jewels against the blackness of space. The Armada moved forward, sleek human ships cutting through the void with purpose. "Admiral, we're being hailed by the Daxamites," the communications officer reported. Novak nodded. "Put it through." The view screen flickered, and the image of a young Daxamite male appeared. He wore the ornate uniform of a Supreme Commander, his face a mix of determination and uncertainty. "Admiral Novak, I am Supreme Commander Zoltar of the Daxamite forces. I urge you to reconsider this attack. The crimes committed against your people were the actions of a previous generation. The current leadership should not be held accountable for the sins of the past." Novak's eyes narrowed. "Commander Zoltar, we have evidence that tells a different story. Many of the council members involved in the Kepler 186F massacre, including your own father, are still in positions of power. They have actively suppressed information about the atrocity, denying justice to the victims and their families." Zoltar's face paled, his eyes widening in shock. "That's not possible. My father, he couldn't have been involved." "I'm afraid it's true," Novak said, his voice firm but not without sympathy. "Your entire worldview has been built on a lie, Commander. The Council's corruption runs deep, and it's time for them to face the consequences of their actions." The human armada took position above the Daxamite capital, its ships casting long shadows across the city. Novak leaned forward, his gaze intense. "I am issuing an ultimatum. Surrender the individuals responsible for the Kepler 186F massacre within one planetary rotation, or face the full might of the Terran Expeditionary Armada." In the council chambers, chaos erupted as the leaders argued amongst themselves. Some advocated for sacrificing the guilty parties to appease the humans, while others suggested using the civilian population as shields to deter an attack. Zoltar listened to the debate, his heart heavy with the weight of his father's betrayal. He looked around the room at the faces of the corrupt councillors who had lied to him and his people for so long. Making his decision, Zoltar stood tall and addressed his most loyal military officers. "Arrest the councillors involved in the massacre. We will not let their cowardice and deceit bring further harm to our people." The officers nodded, moving swiftly to apprehend the guilty parties. Zoltar turned back to the view screen, facing Admiral Novak once more. "Admiral, the corrupt councillors, including my father, are in custody. They will be delivered to your fleet to face justice for their crimes. I only ask that you spare the innocent civilians of our world." Novak's expression softened slightly. "You have my word, Commander. Our quarrel is with the guilty, not the innocent. Prepare for the transfer of the prisoners." As the exchange was made, Zoltar felt a mix of relief and sadness wash over him. The lies that had built his world were crumbling down, but perhaps from the ashes a new era of truth and accountability could rise. The TAA Armada maintained its position, a silent guardian ensuring that justice would finally be served for the victims of Kepler 186F. The shackled Daxamite councillors shuffled onto the TEA flagship's bridge, their heads bowed in shame. Admiral Novak stood tall, his eyes fixed on the view screen as Supreme Commander Zoltar's face appeared. "Admiral Novak, I come to discuss the terms of our surrender," Zoltar said, his voice heavy with guilt. "I am prepared to stand trial alongside my father and the other guilty parties. It is time for the Daxamite people to atone for our past crimes and start anew." Novak studied Zoltar's face, searching for any hint of deception. He found none, only a genuine desire for justice and redemption. "Your integrity is admirable, Supreme Commander. In light of your cooperation, I will spare your homeworld from further destruction." The galaxy watched in rapt attention as the historic joint trial unfolded. The corrupt councillors, their crimes laid bare for all to see, were found guilty of crimes against sentience. The sentence was unanimous: life imprisonment on a remote penal colony, far from the worlds they once manipulated. As the trial concluded, Zoltar prepared to step down from his position, ready to face judgment for his role in the cover-up. But before he could speak, an urgent alarm sounded throughout the ship. "Admiral, antimatter detonations detected on the Daxamite homeworld surface," a crew member shouted. The view screen flickered, revealing a horrifying sight. Massive explosions ripped through the planet's cities, the death toll climbing by the second. Zoltar's face contorted in anguish as he realized the true extent of the attack. "Extremists loyal to the old regime," he whispered, his voice trembling. "They must have planted the bombs to avenge their fallen leaders." Novak's eyes widened as the planet's core began to destabilize, threatening to tear the world apart. "We have to evacuate the remaining population." Zoltar nodded, his resolve hardening. "I will not let my people pay for the sins of a few. All ships commence immediate evacuation." The TEA and Daxamite fleets worked together, racing against time to save as many lives as possible. Novak and Zoltar coordinated their efforts, their past animosity forgotten in the face of this shared crisis. As the planet crumbled, Zoltar made a final desperate decision. He boarded a small shuttle and flew towards the planet's core, determined to prevent a chain reaction that would destroy the entire solar system. "Zoltar, what are you doing?" Novak demanded over the comlink. "What I must, Admiral, for the sake of our peoples, for the future we now share." In a blinding flash of light, Zoltar's shuttle disappeared into the core, the antimatter explosions subsiding in his wake. The planet was lost, but the solar system was saved. In the aftermath of the tragedy, the Galactic Council was officially dissolved. A new era of cooperation between humans and the other galactic races began, built on the foundation of shared loss and a commitment to justice. The Daxamite people, scattered across the stars, grappled with their past and struggled to forge a new identity. But they were not alone. The other races of the galaxy, once their enemies, now extended a hand in friendship and support. On Earth, a somber memorial ceremony was held, attended by representatives from every corner of the galaxy. They gathered to honor the victims of the Kepler 186F massacre and those lost in the final confrontation. Admiral Novak stood at the podium, his voice heavy with emotion. "Today we remember the lives lost to the unchecked power and corruption of the past, but let us also remember the sacrifices made to ensure that such atrocities never happen again. True justice is not about vengeance, but about building a future where all sentient beings can live in peace and unity." As the ceremony concluded, a haunting image of the destroyed Daxamite homeworld filled the screens, a poignant reminder of the devastating consequences of hatred and the importance of forgiveness in the face of adversity. The galaxy was in chaos. With the Galactic Council gone and the Daxamite homeworld destroyed, various factions scrambled to fill the power vacuum. Some wanted to restore the old order, while others saw an opportunity to seize control for themselves. Clashes erupted on planets across the galaxy as these groups vied for dominance. Admiral Novak found himself at the center of this maelstrom. Many saw him as a hero for his role in bringing the corrupt council to justice and saving countless lives during the evacuation of the Daxamite homeworld. There were calls for him to take a leadership position in the new galactic government to help guide the galaxy through this turbulent time. But Novak was haunted by the lives lost in the conflict. The weight of the Kepler 186F massacre and the destruction of the Daxamite homeworld weighed heavily on his conscience. He realized that humanity's quest for revenge had come at a terrible cost, and he questioned whether it had been worth it. As the political situation deteriorated, a new threat emerged. The Void Collective, an ancient race of energy beings that thrived on chaos and destruction, revealed themselves. They claimed that the destruction of the Daxamite homeworld had weakened the fabric of spacetime, allowing them to enter the physical realm. The Void Collective began to manipulate the various factions, stoking the flames of conflict and inciting violence. They sought to plunge the galaxy into eternal darkness, feeding off the resulting chaos. Admiral Novak knew he had to act. He brought together a coalition of the willing to face this new enemy. Among them was Zara, the daughter of Supreme Commander Zoltar, who had stepped up to lead the scattered Daxamite survivors. As the coalition battled the Void Collective's forces, they made a terrifying discovery. The only way to seal the rift in space-time and banish the Void Collective back to their realm was to sacrifice a being of immense power. Admiral Novak knew what he had to do. In a final, desperate gambit, he volunteered to be that sacrifice. He would use his own life force to close the rift and save the galaxy from the Void Collective's influence. As the energy of the rift consumed him, Novak saw visions of the lives lost on Kepler 186f and the Daxamite homeworld. In his final moments, he found a measure of peace, knowing that his sacrifice would prevent further destruction and give the galaxy a chance to heal. Zara stood before the newly erected memorial, a towering structure that honored Admiral Novak and all those who had died in the conflict. Tears streamed down her face as she remembered her father's sacrifice and the countless lives lost. She knew that the galaxy had been forever changed by the events set in motion 500,000 cycles ago. The old order was gone, and a new path had to be forged. It would not be an easy journey, but Zara was determined to honor the memory of those who had sacrificed everything for peace. The galaxy would move forward, guided by the principles of cooperation, understanding, and the hard-learned lesson that the pursuit of justice must be tempered with wisdom and compassion. Only then could they hope to build a better future for all sentient beings. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.